I'm at peace. So, LA Lakers rookie Lonzo Ball has had his share of ups and downs this NBA season, precipitated mostly by the comments and the prognostications of his very outlandish alpha male father, LeVar Ball. It is what it is. We all know what that's really about. He's been the recipient of a lot of slings and arrows that have been aimed at his dad because of what his dad represents, which is an alpha male who happens to be so called black. We know that this modern day society is against any form of overt patriarchy. Either way, Lonzo has had quite a resurgence due to his talent and the fact that he is very even keeled and he does not allow any feminine energy to overwhelm him, particularly in times of adversity. He's able to maintain his composure. That is why I believe Magic Johnson is willing to stick with him. But there has been a turn that bears notice. Mr. Luke Walton has decided that he's going to lavish Lonzo Ball with a lot of praise. Is that because that's what he actually believes, or is it because they're planning on packaging Lonzo in a trade? Who knows? Either way, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
This is SportsCenter right now. I'm Doug Kazarian. The Lakers do not own the rights to their first-round draft pick this year. No tanking, anything like that. Their future is all about the current core of young guys, which includes rookie Lonzo Ball, who returned to the starting lineup last night for the first time since mid-January. Just returned limited minutes from a knee injury that's kept him out a while. Dwayne Wade and the Heat hosting the Late Show, and Wade, the 12-time All-Star, taking the rook to school a little bit. Vintage D-Wade over the backboard all.
That was great defense, though. That's just what happens when you guard Hall of Fame players. They make shots like that. But Lonzo Ball's defense has been one of the more underrated aspects of his game this season. As we know, they have been very reticent to give him any praise. Other than his shooting, he's been great all season. All the other aspects of his game have been pretty stellar for a rookie. Passing, rebounding, making sure that the team is involved. He had a hitch earlier in this season in his jump shot, which already has a natural hitch because his jump shot looked like he's trying to wind up a clock. But it is what it is. I'm sure that it's something he's going to be able to overcome as the years go along. Many players come into the NBA with a shot that looks nothing like how their jump shot looks 5-6 years down the line. But his defense has been stellar for the majority of the season.
Nylon. Of course, Wade traded mid-season from Cleveland back to the Heat. Lonzo and the Lakers up 15 in the fourth. Ball absorbs some contact by Dwayne Wade and gets the hoop and the harm. Lakers get the W by...
Look out for the Lakers. They're only 7 games under 500, and they play 61 games. That means they have 21 games left to go. Look out for them. They've been one of the hotter teams in the NBA over the last 2 months. They may make a late run at the playoffs.
18 is Coach Eric Spoelstra. Not too pleased right there. Now afterwards, Lakers head coach Luke Walton. To me, he was probably the best player on the court tonight. Speaking about his rookie, he's one of the very unique players. It doesn't matter if he's taking shots, scoring 20 a game or not. He can impact the game from all over.
Well, that's the player that he's been all the way from last season at UCLA up to this season with the LA Lakers as a rookie. It's just that people were looking more towards the negative than trying to accentuate the positive, which is what you're supposed to be doing when you're trying to raise up a rookie so that he can fulfill his potential. That is why he should not have been riding the pine in those fourth quarters early in the season when Luke Walton was trying to make a name for himself by bringing the team to the playoffs. It's his job to make sure that Lonzo is growing as a player. He needs experience in clutch situations, in crunch time situations. Why do I think Luke Walton was sitting Lonzo? Many people claim that he was sitting Lonzo to humble him or to humble LeVar. I don't think so. I think that he was sitting Lonzo because he was trying to win games because he knows deep down that Magic Johnson does not want to keep him.
All over. He was doing that for us tonight all around, probably, in my opinion, the best player on the floor tonight. Now back to First Take.
Thanks, Doug. A very good game, guys, from Lonzo last night. According to his coach, he was plus 24 in the win. Stephen A. Smith. You haven't been too keen on Lonzo thus far. Has your opinion changed after his recent play?
Well, the main reason why Stephen A. Smith has not been too quote-unquote keen on Lonzo is because, once again, he's using Lonzo as a proxy to attack LeVar. Stephen A. has been, he's been very, very uneven in many of his statements towards LeVar Ball, or as they call it, passive-aggressive. I think that Stephen A. looks at LeVar as an entertaining character, someone who off camera he would congratulate, not only for how he's raised his sons, but the level of masculine energy that LeVar exudes is refreshing. It's different. But on camera, Stephen A. knows that he's going to have to put LeVar under the microscope, because intrinsically, Stephen A. knows that characters like LeVar Ball are persona non grata in the mainstream liberal media. Any form of patriarchy or strong male energy is something to be demonized and attacked. Stephen A. knows that. So he has to play both sides. But to get to the point, Lonzo is on his way. And if you're an LA Laker fan, you should be very happy with what you see. Because to be quite frank with you, he's only a jump shot away from being one of the top 10 point guards in the NBA. And that's the fact of the matter.
Not really. Not really. I mean, what do y'all want, a cookie? I mean, he's averaging 10, 7, and 7. I give him credit where credit is due.
Yeah, he's averaging 10, 7, and 7, Stephen A. How many rookie point guards in NBA history have done that? Average 10, 7, and 7. He says he's averaging 10, 7, and 7 like that's something easy to do in the NBA. If that was Russell Westbrook, you'd be saying, oh, wow, unbelievable. He's averaging 10, 7, and 7.
What I want to see from Lonzo Ball is something that I continuously ask about. And I haven't seen, he has been out. He's back now. And I've got to see him perform. But I will tell you this. My issue with Lonzo Ball is that he strikes me as an individual who's perfectly content most of the time, dribbling up the ball past half court, giving to somebody else, and going and running around or hiding in a corner. I want him to be the floor general that we anticipate he'll be. Now,
right, but whose fault is that? Is that Lonzo Ball's fault or is that Luke Walton's fault? I don't understand how you could castigate a rookie for not being aggressive enough when we all know that these teams throughout the NBA, they run different offensive schemes. What is Lonzo's role in the offense? Is his role to dominate the basketball and take 15 to 20 shots in the game, or is it to make sure that everybody else gets involved? What exactly is his role? When you're talking about a team as young as the Lakers, it's very easy for there to be chemistry problems because all these young players are trying to stake their claim in the NBA to prove that they belong. It's not normally until players get into their late 20s, early 30s that they're ready to divest a lot of prestige on an NBA team for the sake of winning. For those of us old enough, we remember there were many young teams in the 90s that broke apart because they were precocious, and many of the more stellar members of those teams were more concerned with self-glorification than they were with trying to see how far they could go and grow together. Whether it was Marbury and Garnett in Minnesota or Stackhouse and Iverson in Philly, in Milwaukee, you had Big Dog and Ray Allen who couldn't stay together. Of course, everybody knows about Shaq and Penny. The list goes on and on. So we don't really know what Lonzo's role is on that team. His role may be to act as the utility man, which he's doing a great job of. You can't tell me about how great Jason Kidd was and then tell me about how much more you expect of Mr. Lonzo Ball. You cannot compare him to Steph Curry and Damian Lillard and those guys. He's not that type of player. He's just not.
Now, the Lakers are going to push the ball up the basketball court. There are going to be opportunities for other people. And as a result of that, I'm not looking at the assist as much or whatever the case may be because I know that either guys going to make shots or miss shots. But because of the manner in which the Lakers play basketball.
Now, look at Lonzo there. You hear so many of these sports analysts state that Lonzo is not a good athlete. And Lonzo's as good an athlete as the vast majority of the point guards in the NBA. I've seen him get almost forehead high to the rim. Like, he can get up. It's just they're looking for any little thing to tear down this dude because they hate his dad so much.
Basketball, you're going to get an abundance of opportunities to shoot the basketball because they push the ball up the floor. It's what Luke Walton endorses. I'm just looking at Lonzo Ball, and all I want to see from him is a consistent and reliable level of aggression. That's it. His shot is ugly, but I'm not saying that the brother can't play.
Yeah, well, Stephen A., I saw you in the warm-up with James Harden. Your shot is ugly, too. The difference is that Lonzo's in the NBA. You're not, and never were going to be.
I'm not saying he doesn't have potential. I'm saying that when you're the number 2 overall pick as a point guard for a team being run by the greatest point guard in the history of basketball, that is Magic Johnson.
Right, but Magic is the team president. He's not the coach. You need to address the coach, bruh. You need to address the coach. That's what you need to get at. That's like saying, well, you know, back when Paul George was with the Pacers, you know, I need Paul George to play better because he's playing under one of, if not the best small forwards of all time, Larry Bird. Like, I mean, what are you even talking about? Let's address the pertinent issue at hand. Do we know what Lonzo is asked to do on the floor? Is he asked to be aggressive? Now, if Luke Walton states in an interview or any type of media scrum, I want Lonzo to be more like Steph Curry. I need him to take more shots. And he's still going out there shooting 6 times a game and looking as you would assess it to be passive, quote unquote, then you have a point. Until then, you don't have a point. You need to get on your reporter grind and call up Luke Walton or someone who understands the inner workings of what's going on with the Lakers and ask them, what is Lonzo asked to do there? Here's what I know. The team is only 7 games under 500. They did what they were supposed to do. They got rid of Jordan Clarkson. I've been telling you guys all season they were going to get rid of Jordan Clarkson, and I also predicted they were going to get rid of Julius Randle. I don't know if they're going to try to make it work with him or they were just unable to find any takers. But to me, he's someone else who needs to go. Once they get rid of him, the Lakers will be on their way. There is such a thing as having too much young talent. I think that between Ball, Ingram, and Kuzma, you have what you need right there. You have what you need. All you need is a great shooter to play the off guard and a center that can move. The problem with Lopez is that he's too slow-footed. He's not going to be able to guard the Jokic's and the Nurkic's and those guys out west. Of course, he damn sure can't guard Anthony Davis or a healthy Boogie Cousins. So they're not going to beat those top teams. He's not going to be able to run with a Clint Capella. So those are the 2 positions that the Lakers need to fill. They need to get rid of Randall. They need to move the center Lopez, and they need a dead-eye jump shoot at off guard. Then they'll be good to go.
You have got to be and you are the new orchestrator of Showtime. You have got to push the ball and create opportunities for other people.
Well, sir, he's not the new orchestrator for Showtime. Showtime ended in 1991. I mean, really, you could make the case it ended in 1989 because they didn't even run Showtime style under Mike Dunleavy in the 1991 season, Magic Johnson's last season. Showtime has not been in LA for almost 30 years. So once again, just because Magic Johnson is the president does not mean that they're running Showtime. If anything, and I'm already on record as stating they're running the wrong offensive system. They're trying to play like Golden State, and they don't have Golden State personnel. If anything, that's the reason why Luke Walton is going to get let go. He may get let go for David Fizdale. That's why I told you guys, watch out for that David Fizdale issue. It is very, very, very suspicious to me that Magic Johnson has been very quiet when LeVar Ball has made statements about Luke Walton. I believe that he sees a lot of the same things like that LeVar sees. He just doesn't want to say it publicly. That's the real issue. The system that you run has to be consistent with the personnel that you have. You can't be trying to live old shit. You can't be trying to relive old shit from the 80s. You don't have Magic. You don't have James Worthy. The NBA is different now.
As well as yourself. That's what I'm looking for Lonzo. Just a level of aggression. That's what I've been harping on all season long, and that's what I'm going to continue to harp on until I see on a night in, night out basis him being in attack mode. That's all I ask.
What's the most important thing for a point guard, generally speaking? The most important way you can measure his effect on the team is not counting numbers. Those are crude ways of measuring guys.
I agree. Let me also say this, because I had a couple of guys try to address me in the comments section in a video that I did about Kobe and D Wade. A lot of the Kobe fans, they got, as usual, they got their panties all in a bunch. One of them asked me about how come I agree with Stephen A. when I agree with him about the eye test, and then every other time I claim that Kobe's shooting percentage does this or it does that. I didn't state in the video that Dwayne Wade was better than Kobe. What I stated was that Dwayne Wade is closer to Kobe than Kobe is to Jordan. That's what was stated. And a statement like that would have made more sense had I stated that Dwayne Wade was better than Kobe, and if I would have said something like, well, because D Wade's shooting percentage was higher than Kobe's. Now, I do think that D Wade's shooting percentage being higher than Kobe's is indicative of him being a better decision maker offensively than Kobe, which he was. That's the reason why, in my view, he was very, very close to Kobe. And I don't think people understand how close he was to Kobe in regards to effectiveness on the floor. Dwayne Wade prior to the injuries was one of the top 2 to 3 players in the NBA. And a lot of times when you have not been that great in recent years, people forget how great you were in your prime. But because Kobe plays out in LA and the glitz and the glamour, and he has a lot of the mainstream liberal media behind his narrative, they make him a little bit better than he actually was. And he was great. He was phenomenal. But D Wade was great also. Was he as great as Kobe? No. But point being is this. You have to balance out an understanding of stats with an understanding of what you're watching, what their role is on the team, which is what Kellerman is getting at here. When you watch a player like Lonzo Ball, he has a different role. He has a different style. What is their offensive game plan? Is their game plan to highlight him and have him go for 20, 10, and 10 every game? No. It's to make sure that everything is running smoothly, both offensively and defensively. And let me also, just touching on the D Wade issue again, when you have one player who's shooting 47, 48%, and you have another player who shoots 43, 44%, and that other player who shot 43, 44% played with the most dominant low post force, arguably in NBA history. Yes, that is a notch against him when you're debating and grading these two players against each other. Does that mean that Kobe is less of a player than Dwayne Wade? No, it does not. But the problem with many of the Kobe superfans is that they get so emotional, man. Like, what are you getting so emotional about? I've never done a video about Kobe versus Jordan because to me that's not even a conversation. We can do that. If I get the appropriate backdrop, I may do that video just for the sake of shits and giggles. But it's not a realistic conversation. And you'll find that most of the Kobe supporters are from LA, and that's cool. I get it. He led them to 5 championships. 2, he was the main leader. 3, he was a co-leader. Shaq was the main leader, but Kobe was right there as his lieutenant. Borderline partnership. You can call it a partnership if you want, but I mean, it is what it is. Everybody knows Shaq was the more dominant force. He won the 3 MVPs. But as Kellerman is saying here, when you're evaluating a player like Lonzo Ball, you cannot expect him to be super aggressive if that's not his personality. He can be effective without being super aggressive and coming out, trying to play the quote-unquote dog to satisfy people like Stephen A. Smith. You've had other players in NBA history who had a very cool style, like a Walt Clyde Frazier. Players like that, who just played in a very cool way. Everybody does not have to be like Kevin Garnett and Kobe, rah, 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 all up and down the court.
The number of points, assists, rebounds, blocks, steals. That's just counting the number of times that happens. You don't know at what rate it's happening, what system of offense they're using. Are they over dribbling and therefore kind of hogging those numbers, and are they not?
Max Kellerman, I agree. Please remember that when you're evaluating LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. Please keep what you just said in mind.
Is the team not functioning as well with them on the floor? Or is it functioning better with them on the floor? The Lakers function better with Lonzo Ball on the floor. I cite 2 sources of information and analysis often on this show, Stephen A. Coach Mackey of Steady Buckets, of course, my daughter's youth skills development program that she's in. And also our friends at Second Spectrum Analytics. Ben Alamar, head of analytics at ESPN. goes over some of this stuff with me. And thanks, Ben. And thanks to our friends at Second Spectrum. We looked into what Lonzo's effect is on the team. Forget about points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and all those crude kind of measures. When you dig deeper, what's his effect on the Lakers? Well, his effect is they're more efficient. They get better shots. All this is a marginal effect right now. I'm not claiming it's an enormous effect, but the time of possession is lower. The number of points they get per possession is higher. Their defense on the pick and roll is better. The quality.
Yes, that is probably the best thing that Kellerman has stated. When you have a point guard like Lonzo Ball, who's 6'6" with long arms and quick feet, they're going to be great defending the pick and roll. Because even when you ask Lonzo to switch out on whoever's setting the pick, he has a better chance of guarding that man, especially when he starts putting on a little bit more girth. Like I've stated, if you're a Laker fan, your team is in good shape right now. As long as they get a shooter in the off-guard position and they can get a center with quicker feet.
Quality of shots they get is better. The percentage of time they make those higher quality shots is a little better. Again, all these numbers are marginal, but it's a positive effect. And here's the kicker, Stephen A. He's 20 years old and was a one-and-done player. So if a 20-year-old one-and-done point guard has a net positive effect on every aspect, basically, of your offense, and also in key aspects of your defense, how do you think he's going to be at 25? Of course, you have to be encouraged by Lonzo's play.
Can I answer that question? First of all, with much respect to Coach Mackey, I am not questioning his basketball acumen or whatever the case may be. God bless him and your wonderful, lovely, beautiful little daughter. And I hope that she becomes everything that you want her to be. But I don't need anybody to tell me what I'm seeing. And I'm watching Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball, after a month off, comes back. He's got 9 points, 17 minutes. All right, so what? He's got 8 points last night, all right? He had 13 points the other night against a lowly Atlanta Hawks team. Max Kellerman, he plays 24 minutes. He attempts 4 shots.
Yeah, we used to say the same things about Jason Kidd 16, 17 years ago when he was leading the Nets to the NBA Finals. Why are you reading off point stats for Lonzo Ball? No one expected him to come into the NBA averaging 20 points a game. Whatever happened to De'Aaron Fox? Remember they were talking about De'Aaron Fox like he was going to be the next Gary Payton when he came into the NBA. Like Lonzo was supposed to be so super scared of him. What has he done for the Sacramento Kings this year? What has the kid down there in Phoenix, Josh Jackson, I believe his name is, what has he done for them? This is what I call normal liberal sports media reporting. It's not about what they say. It's about what they don't say. It's about what they omit. This is why I tell you guys, I don't conform to narratives. That's why I have this channel. I don't have time for bullshit narratives. Let's assess this young man, Lonzo Ball, based off of what he's done. Not always complaining about what he's not doing. Unless what he's not doing is hurting the team. They're playing as well as any team in the NBA over the last 2 months and change. And it would be something to say if he came back and they were not performing as well as they were performing when he was out. They did catch a little hot streak while he was out, but for a very long time in the season, they were horrific when he was not on the court. Give him his just due. Give him his credit.
He plays 34 minutes last night. He attempts 5 shots. This is today's NBA game. I don't care about those numbers. I don't care about those metrics. You have got to be aggressive on the basketball court to take pressure off of the other 4 guys around you. You can bring up those numbers all you want to. You know what I could...
Thank you, Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman said, what was the score? Thank you, sir. You should be saying the same things about De'Aaron Fox, because De'Aaron Fox is aggressive as hell. Has his aggression resulted in wins?
What I could do in bringing up those
numbers.
Listen to this. Are you ready for this? You can bring up those numbers all you want to. You know what I could say? How much better would they be if he were even more aggressive? That's what I'm talking about.
How much do you want to beat the Heat by? They won by 18. Do you need the...
Thank you, sir. I mean, it's a process. He's a rookie. We can go through all the rookies in the NBA thus far. And other than Ben Simmons and the kid up there in Utah, all these rookies have had their ups and downs. There was a while when the young man in Boston, Jaylen Brown, he looked like he was going to be a threat to win Rookie of the Year. He's falling off a cliff. Nobody's talking about that. Kyrie has had to pick up a lot of the responsibilities due to the fact that both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, pardon me, I said Jaylen Brown was the rookie who fell off the cliff, not Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum is the rookie who fell off the cliff, but Jaylen Brown is falling off too. And Kyrie has had to take on a lot of the scoring load because those guys have been MIA for like the last month. Lonzo's doing fine. All he needs, to be quite frank with you, is a new coach and a shooting guard next to him. But Lonzo is not going to be the guy to dominate the basketball. That's not his style.
You need them to win by 28?
No. I'm talking about him on the court. I'm not talking about, that's why I'm not paying attention to the numbers per se. I'm watching him. And
Look, I understand it, brother, and I agree that a lot of assessment has to come via the eye test, but there has to be an even balance of numbers and the eye test, because what the eye test does is it allows you to establish how valid the numbers are. That's why I take into account things like plus minus, things like that. Those are relevant because it's showing what the effect is that you're having on the court, both offensively and defensively. Because at the end of the day, it's about who scores more points. That's who wins the game. So we can nitpick styles of play, and we could say, well, so-and-so is not as aggressive as he needs to be. Whatever he's doing is working.
And I'm watching an absence of aggression. I've never critiqued his game like, oh my God, he's done, he's a bust. What I've said is, you will be a bust if you're not assertive. You have to be assertive playing the point
I would say
in LA.
his plus minus, you have to look at how the team functions with a point guard on the floor, any player. Plus 24 last night, the biggest plus minus of anyone on either team. And Stephen A., he does need to be more aggressive. A lot of point guards, Westbrook, John Wall, others, need to be a little less aggressive.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Totally agree with that. And it's interesting that he named those two because John Wall, I've always said, is the Eastern Conference version of Westbrook. Sometimes people can be a little bit too gifted athletically for their own good. It makes them think that they should have the ball in their hands more than they should. Those two are very much alike. Neither one of them could shoot worth a damn, and both of them could jump out of the building, out of the gym, and it makes them think that they should be doing things that they shouldn't be doing. They're going to put up big numbers during the regular season, and during the playoffs, they're going to flame out because they make bad decisions, and they're terrible in the clutch. Lonzo, to me, is a player who's very nuanced. He's going to outsmart a lot of other players in the NBA. You're going to look at his stat line. It's going to say 12, 11, and 11, and it might not necessarily blow you away, but you're going to see how much he's going to dictate pace in these games. Now, his brain is going to allow him to beat a lot of other teams that are going to seem unbeatable. It's like when Ali fought George Foreman. Foreman seemed unbeatable, but Ali beat him with his brain because he took him into an environment that George was not comfortable with. Cerebral players take you into a style of play that you're not comfortable with. That's how they beat you. That's why I stated if LeBron was truly using the brain, the gifted NBA brain that he has, he would not be trying to run with Golden State. He would slow the game down and play in the post and turn it into a more physical game. Because despite what people say about the NBA taking the physicality out of the game, in the 2016 finals, in the last 3 games of the finals, they let them get physical with the Warriors. But the officials have to see that you're willing to commit to that style of play. They have to see that you're ready to do that. LeBron has to show that he's willing to do that and so to give them a better chance of beating Golden State. You're going to see in the years to come that Lonzo is going to beat teams with his brain, as long as he stays healthy. He's going to run with teams that can't. He's going to run on teams that can't run. He's going to run half court on teams that want to run.
The fine-tuning and the calibration of the aggression for Lonzo Ball will happen as his career progresses.
It might not, though. It might not, though. Some people have that dog in them, some people don't. It remains to be seen, guys.
Thank you.
Coming up.
Well, you know what? That's true. Some people do have a dog in them and some people don't. But some dogs are rabid and they have to be put down. Other dogs you can domesticate and they can bring out that bark and that bite when it's necessary. When a dog is not in proper control, it has to be put down. We've seen rabid dogs in the NBA before. A lot of times they don't win shit. But anyway, peace.